Live from Paradise Studios in New York, Strong Island Television presents Under the Radar, starring Randy Unger. Brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Tonight, Randy will be interviewing actor Sam Ingraffia of the hit HBO series Barry. Randy will also be reviewing the new films General Magic and Yesterday with special guest critics Jim Unger, CJ Oakland, and Matt Warren. And now, here's your host, Randy Unger.
Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another edition of Under the Radar, where we talk all things film. And I just hope everyone watching had a very pleasant 4th of July weekend, and I want to thank everyone watching at home and on their devices. Right now, I have, via Skype, actor Sam Ingraffia of Barry fame. Sam, how's it going?
Very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks so much for taking the time today.
My pleasure.
So you guys are safe right now in California?
Yeah, the earthquake was about 120 miles from L.A., so we got some ripples and some shaking, but virtually no damage in L.A. Unfortunately, the little town of, I think it's called Ridgeway, they sustained a lot of damage there because that was the epicenter. And the one on Friday was 7.1, which is a pretty serious earthquake.
That's wow. I mean, that's adventurous. Yeah. We're here in New York. And
yeah.
I love L.A. I want to go there. I want to go back there, but I don't know. I think the earthquakes are pretty much that's the scariest aspect of living there, I'm sure.
Yes, your brain can't quite figure out why the ground is moving underneath your feet when you're not moving. So, yeah, for people who haven't been through an earthquake, it's a pretty amazing sensation.
Wow. Well, thanks again for taking the time today. You're in an episode of the hit HBO show Barry.
I am.
Starring Bill Hader, written, produced, directed by him. What has the experience been like to work on this great show?
Oh, it was wonderful. I mean, it was incredible from the very beginning. When I went into audition for the show, they give you like a 3 or 4 page scene to audition with. And Sharon Bialy, who is the casting person for it, said, when you finish the scene, don't stop, improvise, because they like people who can improvise. I come from a background of comedy, and so that was great. It's very unusual in television, particularly when the producer is also the writer of the show. They usually don't like actors to improvise, but they wanted me to improvise. So I did, and I ended up getting the gig, which was nice. And I showed up on the set the first day, and I was working with Anthony Carrigan, who plays NoHo Hank. And Alec Berg, who is the co-creator of the show with Bill Hader, was standing about 5 feet off camera. And so we did take number 1. And then Alec walked over to Anthony and whispered something to him. And the director said, "Okay, action," and Anthony started saying different lines. So it was, at first it was like I was thrown a little bit because it was like, okay, wait, what are we doing here? But then I figured out that that's why they like people who can improvise. So then it was really, really fun. Every single time he tried something different and I had to react to him, and it was really fun playing off him. And he's really not only a really good actor, but a really, really nice guy. He came up to me before we started working together and introduced himself and said, it's really nice to meet you, and it's going to be really fun working together. Can be an interesting dynamic when you're like the guest star on a show, but you're not the regular on the show. Yeah. And you don't know kind of what the routine is. Should I introduce myself, or should I wait for him to introduce me, or should I not introduce myself at all and just start the scene? So he just kind of broke the ice and was just so nice and so charming and made me feel very comfortable for the rest of the shoot.
That's great. Well, what was it like working with Bill?
I didn't get a chance to work with Bill because the episode that I'm in, he was shooting on every day he was shooting on a different location with Henry Winkler. But I did get to meet him, and he's a really interesting character. He's somewhat like the character he plays. He's just kind of very sweet, very nice, kind of Midwestern guy, but there's kind of an edge to him also. His comedy is pretty dark, kind of like the show.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what was the audition process like for this?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. Again, I have a fair number of credits, so they basically my agent sends my reel, and they look at the reel and they say, "Fine, come in." And I know I've met Sharon before, so it was very comfortable. And again, the odd thing about it is usually you will audition, you'll read the lines, and then they'll give you an adjustment, and you'll read the lines maybe a couple more times, and that'll be it. It's very unusual to improvise on a television show. Lots of times with films, because there's more flexibility and the pre-production process is longer, so they will give you the freedom to kind of improvise and try to find the character. But with television, particularly nowadays, where everything is so compressed and goes so fast, it's very unusual where you're asked to improvise. I really like it because that's my background, but it's very unusual.
And now some of your comedy work, is that related to the return of Sal and Junior?
Yeah, I've done a lot of other comedy, but yeah, when my writing and acting partner, Gary Stein, and I created these two characters called Sal and Junior. And what we did is we started going around to comedy clubs. This was in the late 80s. And we would go around to comedy clubs and we would sign in. I was Sal Sirico and he was Junior Carmelo. And we signed in as Sal and Junior, and we had on like really bad silk shirts and a lot of jewelry. And we stayed in character the entire time. And we didn't really, the joke is Sal and Junior want to be in show business, but don't really have they have no talent. Okay. So it was like performance art. We lip synced opera, and we did sock puppet Shakespeare, and we did a mind reading act, which he would put on a turban, and I was supposed to give him kind of like secret hints so he would be able to, sort out what the mystery was. And of course, we screwed it up every time.
Kind of like Johnny Carson.
He would get really mad at me and yell at me, almost like Laurel and
I'm reminded by the Johnny Carson character.
And I would get mad at the audience.
Sorry, breaking up a little.
And that was kind of the joke. So now, 30 years later, people have always said to us, we got a development deal at Universal, and there were pilot scripts written and network deals signed. And after 3 years, we almost became big stars, but we never did. And so people always said, what happened to those characters? Mm-hmm. So Gary, kind of out of the clear blue sky, about a year ago, called me and said, you want to do Sal and Junior again? Wow. So he flew out from New Jersey, and we wrote together for about 3 months. We came up with new material. We hired a crew, a really great crew, and we shot 8 short episodes. We got a great editor and a great composer to compose music for it. And now they're up on YouTube. It's a YouTube series. It's called The Amazing Return of Sal and Junior.
Now, can people access the original series from 30 years ago?
Well, what we did was, which I think is pretty clever, is we have archival footage from stuff that was shot 30 years ago, and we also use production stills that they shot at Universal of us. So it's kind of weaved into the first 2 episodes of the series are basically Sal and Junior explaining to the new audience that they're back. And that people have asked them for years, and now we've come back, and we show them, just in case people may have forgotten after 30 years, we show them some excerpts from the pilot that was shot 30 years ago, and footage of a short film that Universal made, and publicity stills that we had, and we weave that all into the episodes.
Cool. I'm imagining like you can just piece it all together in a certain way and edit it in a certain way to make it like a sort of a science fiction comedy. Like here you guys are now, and you go back to you 30 years ago, and just have like a nice dynamic.
That's almost exactly right, because there's a routine that we did in the initial pilot, and then we decided we would do it in the first episode, and the editor cuts back and forth between the dialogue where we're talking 30 years ago, and I have dark hair, and we're wearing our ridiculous outfits, and now we're doing the same basic routine,
right?
And we're 30 years older, so it cuts together really nicely, and it's pretty funny stuff.
That's very cool. Is that going to be on YouTube or?
Yeah, it's on YouTube now. There's 8 episodes, and they're all up now. The last episode 8, went up about a week and a half ago. So it's been fun, and Gary's coming out probably in another week or 2, and we're going to start writing together to create the next batch of episodes for season 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, you've obviously had a very long career, great career. What are some of the highlights from your filmography?
Working with Sean Penn in the film The Falcon and the Snowman was great.
Nice.
It was great working with Sean, and also John Schlesinger directed it, who's an Academy Award-winning director. He's now passed away, but it was a great script written by Steve Zalian, directed by John Schlesinger, and getting all my scenes are with Sean. So that was really, really nice.
Nice.
Working with Angela Lansbury, she's a very classy person. That was really, really nice to work with her. I did an episode of The Incredible Hulk, and that was, pretty funny. You get to be a kid again and run around and shoot guns. And Lou Ferrigno actually yanked me out of a car window.
Cool.
And when I was doing the episode, I had read the script, and it says the Hulk pulls. My character's name is Slick. The Hulk pulls Slick out of the car window. And when we set up the shot, I said to the director, "Okay, so when are you going to cut and put in the stuntman?" He looked at
What
me and
stuntman?
said, "Well, we're not gonna cut. We're gonna have you, because it'll look great. They'll pull you out of the window, and you'll look really scared." And it's possibly one of my greatest performances, because I look really scared coming out of the window. And the same thing happened on The Fall Guy. I did an episode of The Fall Guy, and I was a guest star bad guy, and Lee Majors threw me out of a helicopter.
All right.
And the same thing. The helicopter's up on a platform, and I say to the director, "Okay, so when are they going to put the stuntman?" And I get same response. "Oh no, we're not going to use the stuntman. We're going to throw you out." And I said to Lee, "You got any tips?" And he said, "Yeah, jump. I'll grab you and you jump." So it's been a long, fun career. I'm working on features now, which has been really, really nice.
Okay.
The process of working on a feature is different than working on television, but because it goes a little slower and you get a little more time to develop your characters. So that's been really nice. For probably 15 or 20 years, I primarily did television and played television bad guys, and it's been nice the last 4 or 5 years segueing into primarily doing feature films, and that's been great.
Good. Now, you're obviously a thespian.
I am a thespian.
I'm curious, in your opinion, what makes a good actor?
Oh, gosh. What makes a good actor? Well, again, I came from kind of a different background than most actors. I was a political science major in college, and then I went to business graduate school to get a master's degree in finance. So what was always instilled in me was discipline and hard work, show up on time, be prepared. And I've kind of tried to bring that to my acting career, is know your lines inside and outside, work hard on your homework, preparing your character, show up on time, listen to the other actors. A lot of actors, unfortunately, think that it's just all you have to do is just show up and kind of have fun, and acting can be hard work, and it should be work. And, being prepared, I think, is probably what makes an actor as good as they possibly can be. And also, I just think working at it. When I was in college, Jack Nicholson came to speak to us, and somebody said, when you started, you weren't very good, and you did all those awful Roger Corman movies. What's the secret? Now you're this great film actor. And he just, gave that great Nicholson smile and said, "I practiced." And I think that's kind of what makes, lots of people have talent. Okay. But hard work and discipline and study really make the difference. Anybody can be a mediocre actor, but hard work makes the difference.
And practice makes perfect, right?
That's exactly it. Just show up every time and just keep working.
Great. Well, are there any projects you want to talk about that you haven't talked about already? Any plugs you want to throw out there?
Just Sal and Jr. I have a new film that'll be out in September that's called UZLA, which is a horror film, which is a really cool idea. It's like zombies matched with superheroes. So they're zombies who have kind of extraordinary powers. And the really cool thing about it was the director shot the entire movie for 6 weeks on the campus at UCLA. So that was great for me because it was like coming back around full circle, starting at UCLA and then thinking about the possibility of maybe I could ever be an actor and thinking, nah, I don't know if I could ever do that. And then coming back 35 years later to have a nice role in a feature film that's shot on campus. That was pretty good. So that's UZLA. That'll be out in September. I just shot a Domino's commercial. I just shot a Domino's commercial 2 weeks ago where I play a crazy Italian barber, which is pretty funny.
Okay.
I have another film that'll be a feature that'll be coming out probably in late September, early October, which is called Bite of the Alien. Okay. Which is a sci-fi movie, but it's a dark comedy, which is actually, the script is very, very funny. When they sent it to me, I had worked with the director before, and he sent me the script, and I said, when do we start? This is really cool. It's about a spaceship that gets abandoned in space, and the guys have to decide if they're going to eat the alien that they have captured or die. And so I'm the doctor on the ship, and I'm trying to convince them that science research is more important than eating the alien. And of course, they totally don't listen to me.
I thought you'd be more of like
eat the alien, but eat me also.
I thought you'd be more of the disgruntled general who wants to expose the conspiracy or something. Maybe that's a sequel.
Yeah.
All right.
It's been going great. I have a lot of stuff coming out, and I'm just starting on a new film called A Happy Life, which I'll be working on probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
Great talking with you.
Lots of success, and if you're ever in Long Island, stop by the studio for an in-person interview.
I will definitely do that. Thank you. Plus, I'm one of those guys. When you invite me, there'll be a knock on the door, and it'll be me.
Okay, perfect. Looking forward to that. Sam, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. See ya.
All right, guys. So we're going to take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with our film review segment right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
And we're back. Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is Under the Radar, our film review segment. And I've got a wonderful panel of guest critics today. My uncle, Jim Unger, welcome.
Thank you.
Your first time here.
My first time here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime. It's been a while since I've tried to get you on the show. You're a big movie buff.
I do like movies.
Yeah, good. And Mr. Matt Roran, back second week in a row. You're a trooper. And Mr. CJ Oakland, probably the veteran of the couch right here.
Yeah, I usually come here a lot. I haven't been here recently because my car broke down, but it fixed, so I have no choice but to show off
There
now,
you go.
so.
You could drive here now.
Yep.
Perfect. So, guys, we've got two very different films, but that's pretty much the theme every week. The first film is a documentary called General Magic, which basically is about a Silicon Valley startup in the 90s that kind of fails, but paves the road for the smartphone. And I thought this was a fantastic, there they go, geniuses at work, about late 80s, I'd say. And this film, I mean, at first I was on the edge, but I figured, documentaries, they're entertaining, they're educational, and I actually learned a lot about, technology and the process here. Mm-hmm. So, Jim, what did you think of General Magic?
Well, I'm going to preface my comments by the fact that I am not a scientific person.
Yeah.
Don't really enjoy technology, and it surprised me how much I enjoyed this this documentary. I was watching it at the beginning, thinking, "Oh, this is like homework." Like I'm in high school. I have to watch this. But as it went along, there were moments. I mean, I didn't know too many of the people involved.
Right.
Steve Jobs
was for me.
basically the only one.
Maybe Andy Hertzfeld, but
Yeah. But the little moments that it was a very well made documentary because it took you from the early '90s, which I remember quite well, into the end of that decade and into the early 2000s, and it showed you. How things got made. I saw the one thing that struck me was the emoji. And they wanted to have people's emotions shown, and I really enjoyed the chronology. I love chronology, and the people in it. At the end, they show you, and I like this in documentaries when they tell you what happened to them.
Right. That's a good touch.
So it surprised me. I didn't fall asleep, and
that's always a good thing.
Good. Yeah, right.
Matt, what'd you think?
I'm a huge documentary buff.
Nice.
I'll watch a documentary on anything. This is actually when it started because I watched the documentary on Apple, and I also watched the documentary on Pixar.
Okay.
So it's like
there was some overlap between those companies.
At the beginning of it, I'm just like, okay, I think the Apple one I watched was about the Mac 2.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was like, okay, I'm like, this is like, I feel like I just watched this, but it's a truly fascinating, the ingeniousness, the dream of having a smartphone. Way before anyone,
it's cool
the internet didn't even exist yet.
Right, this is the team that was basically responsible for the birth of the iPhone.
Like he said, they went on to create. The iPod, the iPhone, the Apple Watch, and then things like Twitter and Google.
How they labeled under each person, CFO, CTO of Twitter, and all of them.
Amazing. It's like how involved in everything most of these people have been, and it's funny because I remembered after seeing the commercial, because they show a commercial for the Sony Magic Link. I remember seeing a commercial for it in the '90s. I was in high school, and I was like, I saw it and was like, who would ever want that? Who would need that?
It's so clunky. Yeah.
And it's so funny that they interview all these people on the street. They're like, I would never. Who wants to be connected all the time? And it's like, I was a holdout on smartphones myself. I think I just finally got a smartphone 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I put it off forever. And then, once having one, I was like, oh my God, how do I live without this?
Yeah, right. It's an extension of your body.
It's like, I love it, but I also hate it. But it's like, it's a part of me now.
It's pretty helpful.
But the documentary I thought was fantastic. There's the footage from the 90s is great because it's like they were making a documentary documenting the whole process.
Yeah.
And then they use that to really.
It's like, how did they know 30 years later?
Yeah, and it's like, all right.
Cool.
And then, it's like, this completely failed, but we'll use it.
Right.
And it was fun watching also what got me, in addition to the emoji thing, they showed these people who slept in there.
In the office.
The determination of these people
were
kind of amazing. And at some point they said something about you could you could smell the sweat.
You're right.
And they brought in their animals, and it smelled like cat stuff.
Cats walking all over.
Yeah,
it was disgusting.
But that's pretty much what all startups are like now, anyway.
Yeah,
it's like they did it first.
CJ, what do you think?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it's a very interesting documentary because usually you only see documentaries about products that prosper and succeed, and this is about a product that essentially fails on almost every front, but it paved the way for so much interesting stuff. So it's like what everyone said, this was such an interesting thing to see because at the time these were the biggest people in every field all brought into one room.
Right.
So they were saying how the people coming in who were the young guys were awed because these are their heroes there in this room. So it's they had the smartest people in the room. They were working on cutting edge technology. And they failed because no matter how much ambition and drive they had, they realized their vision was too big. They didn't know what they were actually going to do with it. and they sold this dream of what the smartphone could be,
Right.
and weren't able to realize it until a decade later when other people were able to. So it's heartbreaking in a way to think, like, for all the passion and drive that was there, they weren't able to, like, properly focus it. It wasn't the time. There were so many things, like, stopping them from it. Like, they couldn't, like, they saw the internet become a thing, and they couldn't have the smartphone be part of it because they were with AT&T, who wanted a closed network. And you just see how, like, all these corporate connections they had to make the product also restricted it and stopped it from being what it could be and stopped it from succeeding.
Yeah, like Sony's deadlines and AT&T's closed network.
And how Apple tried to put out a competing product at the same time by taking their design is just a classic Apple move, really.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, but yeah, true. But I am happy that they all moved on to bigger things.
Yeah,
you
it
know.
was definitely still, they were very successful people. Like, they weren't successful here, but they were still able to succeed at other things and see their vision come through.
And it's a beautiful tale of teamwork and hard work.
Yeah.
And how that can bring you great results.
Yeah, and it's great because they incorporated pretty much everything from this product into their later products.
Yeah.
So they did get to use it. So
I love this scene. There's a short scene where they're trying to figure out the touch screen.
Oh,
Yeah,
when she's showing all the different touchscreens. Yeah,
like the materials that they use underneath the glass. That was very cool.
And also to see the giant size screen
Clunky,
as opposed to what we have now.
Right.
It was good.
And like the initial design is pretty much what we have right now. It's like the iPhone, and that's what they wanted. They just couldn't get anywhere near it.
Right. And the woman, I forget her name. What's her name? Megan Smith.
Yeah.
The female engineer. She's like, they're like, ask her, what do you envision the future of technology to be? I don't know, like a wristwatch, like Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy, yeah.
That was kind of, and it happened. You know, 25 years later, it happened. So, very cool. So, CJ, see it, skip it.
I definitely say see it if you're a fan of documentaries.
Yeah.
It's a fun one to watch. And what's really interesting is just like they were saying, like they recorded everything because they knew we have so many important people here, and this is such a revolutionary idea that they knew succeed or fail, this was going to be a historic thing. Although obviously they wanted to succeed, and what they kind of recorded was the project imploding a little bit and couldn't.
Isn't the series? I haven't seen it, but Silicon Valley, the series, is that sort of like a comedic take on this?
It isn't related to this.
Okay.
Silicon Valley is just about designers making a startup in Silicon Valley. So it's like a similar premise of just intelligent people coming together on a product, trying to sell it. But it's like it's not based on any real products.
Okay.
It's more like a fictional story of just a Silicon Valley team trying to succeed.
Because I think this could work as a feature, like a nonfiction film.
It reminded me more of *Halt and Catch Fire* on AMC because that's about like a team of computer engineers in the '80s, where it's a fictional computer that was trying to compete when like the Macintosh first came out. They were trying to build a computer first, and then realized Macintosh built a better one. And each season is like them trying to deal with it and improve their product.
Who's in any notable?
I'm trying to remember.
Look it up.
I can't remember the female actress, but she's in the new Terminator movie that's coming out. Lee Pace played one of the main characters.
Okay, is that that's not Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
No. Similar kind of vibe. She plays like an '80s girl who's like good at video games, good at coding.
Mackenzie Davis.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen her.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts is they have to set up the series. Like they introduce like a bunch of programmers they want to hire for the project, and because she's in charge, she says, "Okay, I want everyone to play the game Zork." Where it's like the game where you have to type in the commands, and they all play it. And she says, "Okay, raise your hand if you use a cheat code to get through most of the game." And like 5 people raise their hand. She's like, "Everyone else is fired. I want everyone doing the smartest way to get through on this project." And they have I can't remember the actor's name, but he's an older actor and he's a very fun actor. I've seen him in a lot of movies playing bad guys. And he's just the stodgy guy in this company. And he comes in saying, "Someone tell me how to get out of this goddamn well." And he becomes a fan of all these young people.
Toby Huss, would that
Yes, it's a very fun show.
Yeah,
he's great in the show. I love
He
him.
was in an episode of Seinfeld. He played the Wiz.
No,
I'm the Wiz.
He was the limo driver in Freak Book, one of the best Curb Your Enthusiasm episodes.
Yeah.
When he invites him into Ted Danson's party, and he's got the Freak Book that is like the 1920s, and he gets drunk. Oh, it's great.
Yeah. Toby Huss. Okay.
Yeah, I say definitely this was a good documentary. If you're a fan of it, you can check out *Halt to Catch Fire* is a very good show.
Yeah.
I think it ended last year.
I would check. Is it more serious though?
It's more serious, but it has comedic moments. It's definitely a dramedy, but it's a very good AMC show. It's underrated.
Cool. Matt, would you see it or skip it?
Definitely see it. I mean, I love documentaries to begin with. If you like docs, you'll love it. If you're into technology, you'll love it. I think if you're interested at all about what's in your hand, you'll love it. You know.
Basically, yeah. Jim, you...
I would say, for somebody who does not like technology and science and all of the technical things, it surprised me that I enjoyed it.
Great.
So,
all right. Yeah, I was on the fence originally, but I'm really glad I got to see this one. Sometimes a documentary comes along. I think this might be the best documentary of the year for me so far. I mean, I saw some good ones at Tribeca, but this was up there. This is definitely up there.
It was pretty good. I remember the Apollo 13 documentary.
Apollo 11.
The Apollo 11.
Yeah.
That's definitely the best documentary I've ever seen.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, I can't remember how long they came out, if it's been a year or not, but this one was a pretty good...
It came out less than a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but this one I'd say General Magic is probably definitely top 3 documentaries I've seen for the year. It's pretty good.
And also, speaking of technology docs, there's actually one called Moving Picture, which is about the history of the emoji. You like it, I think. And also, it came out last year-ish. So yeah, Science Fair. You saw it? Basically, it follows 4 different kids in their quest to be the best engineer. These junior science fairs. They're all in high school, and they're brilliant kids. That was really well made. The pacing of that and the editing was just a documentary needs great editing, and
oh, definitely.
Yeah, that's what really makes it. That's what tells the story in a way. So, all right, guys. So I didn't think we were going to spend so much time on that. Because the next film is a little more fun, very different, but it is the fantasy dramedy Yesterday, which is about a young man he's a musician in his own right. There he is on the right there.
A failing musician.
Yeah.
There's a lot of failure in this week's...
played by Himesh Patel, who I'm still not sure. Is he related to Dev? No? Okay, probably, maybe not. Okay, anyway, he gets into an accident, and he's knocked unconscious. When he wakes up, he's in a world where no one knows what the Beatles are. And he basically goes through their entire discography and tries to profit off of it. And hilarity ensues, pain ensues, and it's a very, very well-made film. Great performances, obviously a great soundtrack. Jim, what did you think of this wonderful film?
Well, I think it's a great day to talk about this because today is Ringo Starr's birthday.
Wow, yeah.
79.
Happy birthday, Ringo.
Yes,
Peace
Happy
and love.
birthday.
Peace and love, right? I love this movie. I think it may be the best movie I've seen this year so far.
Okay. Interesting.
On so many levels, it was a great fantasy. It employed, some of the best music ever written.
Yeah.
And it really turned on a dime for me when, they had all these little hints that this was coming, where he's says something to his girlfriend about, will you, still need me when I'm 64? And she's like, why 64? And those little clues were really ingenious. It reminded me, actually, a little bit of a show that I grew up with that I still love, The Twilight Zone.
Oh, my God. Yes.
And Rod Serling would have these what-if, scenarios. Like the one that came to mind most was there was an episode where this guy goes back in time, and it was right before the day before John Wilkes Booth is going to murder Abraham Lincoln, and it was kind of reminded me of that what if.
Right, if you're the only one who has that knowledge.
Yes.
What would you do?
What would you do if you can go back and stop this guy from killing Lincoln? What would happen to the universe? So I mean, it was kind of like a different thing, but the fact that nobody knows Beatle music and he takes credit for it.
Right.
I was just the acting was great, the pacing was great, the music was great. I thought the Help, the version that they did of Help was super.
Yeah.
It was this supercharged rock.
Yeah,
it was very different from the
covers
original.
are really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an iTunes download, I'd say.
Yeah.
the soundtrack. That's cool. Matt, what did you think?
I really liked it. I went in. I was fairly skeptical, even though it's a Danny Boyle film, and I love his work. I absolutely. Although Slumdog Millionaire, I still have not seen.
Really?
It's one of the, I wasn't interested in it when it came out. I just still haven't seen it.
Okay.
But usually I adore his films. I have since I first saw
Trainspotting?
Before Trainspotting was oh my god, what's that movie? It's also with Hugh McGregor.
Sunshine?
Shallow Grave.
Shallow Grave.
Shallow Grave. I think it was his debut film.
Did 127 Hours, The Beach.
Yeah.
The Beach is great. That's an underrated movie.
I mean, his films. I mean, he did 28 Days Later.
Yep.
Like so all over the place. Like his films are so many different genres. So it's really interesting. He did, it's like a romantic comedy this time around.
And he's, by the way, he's doing the next James Bond film, Bond 25.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was skeptical because I'm a huge Beatles fan.
Yeah.
I always have been. I grew up, loving the music. And I feel like every couple years they come out with a movie that's like, hey, we're going to use the Beatles music and make a movie. I usually skip those movies.
This is the best use of it.
I mean, it's great.
That I've seen.
A lot of the things from the trailer that I thought would make me not like this movie, they immediately in the movie they basically tell you oh well this and this, and it's like okay, I was like okay, well are the Beatles the only thing that disappeared?
Right.
And it's like no. Spoiler alert, they're not.
You have a cigarette, and what's a cigarette?
Yeah.
Slight spoiler there. Sorry, guys.
Slight spoiler. A lot of the things I was like, well, what? Some of these things wouldn't exist without the Beatles, and they cover that. So there's some stuff like that, which straight off the bat, I was kind of yeah. But they really satisfied me. The fact that he's kind of not even a huge Beatles fan. Yeah. He's just he's a musician.
Right.
He has a love for the Beatles, but he gets the words wrong. He doesn't know all the words. It's almost really difficult for him. He's writing down, looks like a conspiracy theory wall, where he's writing down all the names of the songs
all
he can
Post-its.
remember.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And it's I'm sure there's hundreds of how many 13 albums worth of material in 7 years they put out.
True.
And it's he really only did maybe 20 songs.
Yeah.
And
halfway through, I didn't realize the way they were going, where he was trying to. There was nothing written down.
Right.
He couldn't refer to anything.
Yeah.
So it was all up
right.
his head.
Yeah, he couldn't look at Wikipedia. He couldn't.
The Eleanor
that's pretty
Rigby
good.
thing where he's.
He couldn't remember the words, the placement.
Yeah.
I mean, he could fudge the lyrics a little. It's just the melody.
No, the thing that I really enjoyed most about the movie is that you have this great debate about artistic integrity. Are you doing this to give good art to the people or to profit off of it?
Right.
It's basically a good line. It's a good story of plagiarism and the effects.
But it's also they play a good line where he realizes he may be kind of successful off of this, but also he has a duty to the world that the world needs the Beatles. They need that music.
Yeah.
It's so important. It's so important to so many people. Mm-hmm. And he starts off saying I need to get this out there to everybody. They deserve to have it. Yeah. And realizing as he's trying to write down all the names, every now and then he'd be writing along, and he suddenly shouts, "I get by with a little help from my friend." And he's if he forgot that song, no one would ever hear it. It's imagining the responsibility that's on him, and that's something I hadn't thought about with the trailer.
I wish they would have focused more on that, bringing the art to the world more.
Yeah.
That was kind of lost in the romantic kind of relationship.
But I think that's how you have to sell the movie. It's you need a movie with tension and stakes.
Right,
so
right.
It just seemed a little mud. It was the Lily James character. She's a great actress.
Yeah.
But I could have
felt
felt
the romantic part of it kind of it kind of spoils the.
It was thrown in there, yeah.
As we're talking here now, there's another great classic movie that comes to mind. It's A Wonderful Life.
Oh my God.
Where it's also a what if. What if a person doesn't exist?
Right.
What are the ramifications for the rest of the universe? And it kind of
it's a philosophical theme. It's really
and everything takes on a life of its own.
Right.
The way things progress without something in it.
I would even compare this loosely to Groundhog Day, a little bit.
Yeah.
What if
because he knows.
He's the only one who knows what's going on, and so is this. And Himesh Patel, very good performance. I've never even seen him or heard of him before.
Yeah, it was the first. So.
Yeah, CJ, have you heard of him?
No, I really enjoyed his performance. Though. He did a great
really
job.
Yeah, he's really good.
He played the role so well, and also like Danny Boyle directed it really well. Like there's so many ways you could have been lazy on this film and just been like, okay, it's just a regular romantic comedy with a few things in there, but it's like there's so many things that were like simple shots that he takes like so much effort in to like set up the scene and make it look so well. Like when they shoot on the beach, there was a nice moment where I noticed like, wow, this is like a really nice composition to how the shot is done. Yeah. And it's like he goes into that, like everything he shoots, like he wants it to look amazing. He wants it to be like notable, and it's like it makes it such a more enjoyable film than if someone's just shooting someone talking back and forth, and then the scene ends. You know.
I like the shot where I think they go over the where he's performing over the beach, and the camera's like it had just a great angle about it, and again, fantastic direction by Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm curious because I keep going back and forth what everybody thinks of Kate McKinnon's character, because I love her and I find her funny, but I thought there was something about her interjection into this
it's
movie
like they just
that was a
threw
little
in.
off. Yeah.
We know she's funny. Let's throw her in.
And that's the way she always acts on Saturday Night Live.
But she's very talented.
It's funny because I had this conversation with my brother yesterday. Yesterday.
Hey.
We were talking
yesterday.
Talking about the movie, and I've seen a lot of people online being like Kate McKinnon's character. Like even though we love her, we did not like the character. We thought she almost ruined the movie.
Well, I wouldn't go that
But
far.
it's like one of those things where a lot of people were like really, really critical on it, and I was like, I think she did a fantastic job because that's what record people are like. Record executives are like.
She's a character you're not supposed to like. Like,
Oh,
you're not
yeah.
supposed to enjoy seeing her.
They only care about money. Like that's
I really liked it where it's like not trying to be like, oh, I'm the nice record person. Then you find out later I'm evil. Like she's walks straight up front, like I don't give a shit about you.
Very
like
direct.
I just want to make money. You're gonna make me money. Let's do this. And it's like the most obvious, like drink this poison, you'll be famous.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna ruin your life. Is like.
But that role really could have been.
Blatant
It could have been done by anyone.
actress. But I thought she did a good job with it.
She's a great actress. She's very funny though, but I don't really think this was.
I think
the right
they wanted
role.
another name.
Yeah.
Because Lily James is really the only other.
And
Ed Sheeran, but he's more of a cameo.
Right.
I enjoyed his cameo. Like when I first saw Ed Sheeran here, because there are a few places that try to put him in, but they played him so perfectly in this one, where they have him come in as an actor, and it's like, okay, you're going to pretend to come up against a musician who's got the skills of the Beatles that you can never compare with, and he plays it really well. I enjoyed how they put him into the movie.
There's one scene where he goes on
spoilers, but there's
on tour with Ed Sheeran. And they have a contest.
Who could write the best song?
Who can write the best song in 10 minutes or whatever. And it's hysterical because it's no matter what Ed Sheeran has, this guy can whip any Beatles song that he hasn't already done.
And he admits defeat.
And it's like
he is great, I am not.
What I have not seen though is, does anybody know what Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr
think of the film?
Think of the
I
film.
haven't.
I don't know if they've commented on it.
That's a very good question.
Yeah. I think they wanted to have a life of its own without them.
This movie's basically a love
letter.
It is.
So
I'm sure they respect it and appreciate what they tried to do.
Yeah, and they didn't make fun of them or anything like that. It was definitely an homage.
It's
it's very well done.
Yeah, and the later scene with
see the
movie.
Spoil it, but there's
see the movie.
Very touching scene.
Towards
the end. Towards the end,
beautiful scene.
Yeah,
so good.
Very interesting too.
Yeah,
it comes out of the blue,
and it's like one of those things I think everyone wants to see.
I didn't expect to see that.
It's one of those things.
I loved it.
I've always, it's like. It kind of reminded me. VH1 had a made-for-TV movie called Two of Us.
All right.
It was about John Lennon and Paul McCartney basically getting together after the Beatles broke up and writing together or whatever.
Have they worked together in the last 40, 30 years?
Really coked up. They did a session with Stevie Wonder and
really?
And it's you can find it on YouTube. It's called a Toot and a Snort in '74, and it's terrible.
Well, not many people remember, but shortly before he was murdered, John Lennon, there was a report, I think it was in 77, 78, and I think it was on the front page of the New York Post, not that was that the Beatles were going to be reuniting. And there was very brief, and then it was quashed.
Well, it was I love Lorne Michaels was trying really hard to get the Beatles to do Saturday Night Live. To get a reunion on the show. Kept offering them like so much money. And one of the I've also read like a million Beatles biographies, whatever.
Nice.
One of them I was reading, I think it was written by one of John's good friends. It talks about how like Paul and John were hanging out in the mid '70s, and they were watching Saturday Night Live, and they were like, "Hey, we should just show up. We should just show up and play." And then they decided to like probably do drugs or something. But but it's like we came that close, you know.
Right.
Cool. Well, guys, I got to do a quick mention here of this Amazon show that I know some of the filmmakers behind, the producers. It's called Foreign Nationals, and it's a series about the pressing issues of U.S. immigration and deportation and the separation of families. Very timely, obviously, and it promotes cultural awareness. And basically, Amazon Prime has selected the show Foreign Nationals to be part of the All Voices Film Festival, which celebrates diversity in film. And everyone watching right now, please go on Amazon Prime if you have Amazon Prime. Share it, review it, comment on the landing page. It's a fantastic show. It's actually directed by Louis Guerra of Orange is the New Black on Netflix. Great show. But yeah, also, and if you're on Facebook, go search for Foreign Nationals there and just comment and share. It's just a fantastic show, and we wish the producers best of luck with that. So.
Oh, yeah, I've been really looking forward to that one. 'Cause I was on the couch with one of the people from it. He was telling me about the show, and I remember even just hearing the pitch. I'm like, this is a really good show. I'm looking forward to it.
It's gaining traction.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear Amazon Prime picked it up.
They just shot the one concept film, a pilot, and it's in the film festival right now, All Voices Film Festival on Amazon. So. Yeah, it's a great show. Chris is he's in it too. He's an actor in it.
Not me.
No, not you. Chris Clemente, a good gentleman. He's a frequent critic on the couch.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is good. So, guys, we have a few minutes left. Just curious, one movie that you're looking forward to see in theaters. I'll let you think.
I really want to see Midsummer. I was trying to see it this weekend, and I'm behind on it, but I've heard such good things about it as a horror movie. Like, I love the concept of it. Like, what I've heard is, like, it's the Wicker Man where it's done in a far more intense way. Yeah. It's like the original Wicker Man, not the Nicolas Cage one that is hilarious to watch. Oh, my God.
Oh.
I'm always a fan of horror movies that are like people in the strange town doing things like that's my favorite cliche.
Where they don't know what's going on. Yeah. They're like just not in on it. It was great. I loved it. Yeah,
like that's what I loved about Get Out was like was a very similar feel. Like one of my favorite parts is when the main actor is like in the room with like the rich white people. They're all like talking, laughing, and you just see him go upstairs. And as soon as he's gone, you just see they're all laughing and just stop and look up at him. And I'm just like, that's such a creepy moment when you just see a group of people acting in such a strange way together. And it's like that's one of my favorite genres of horror. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Midsummer. Yep. Matt, what are you looking forward to?
I mean, I guess at this point, I feel like Spider-Man came out already. Right, I saw it twice. Midsummer, I saw. It's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the movie I'm waiting for.
Awesome.
I honestly can't think of anything else I'm more excited for right now.
That's going to be pretty insane.
When's that coming out?
That's
July 20 or something?
Oh, which is I decided to do Pulp Fiction at Cult Cafe that weekend. So
cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I got to go see that.
That's appropriate. Jim, what are you looking for? Anything?
I guess maybe Lion King?
Yeah, I was about to say Lion King too. Yeah.
Although anything is, if Meryl Streep's coming out with a new movie, I don't know if she's in the process of making. I don't
Probably.
know. You guys are into the Big Little Lies show.
Oh,
she is just so amazing in a TV program.
Oh my God, she's so intense on that show. And last week we got to watch her get smacked. It was great.
That's Laura Dern, Reese Witherspoon.
Laura Dern,
yeah.
Reese
I've heard. I got to get into
Shailene
Woodley.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah, I mean it's phenomenal cast.
I think it's better this season than last.
Oh yeah, I was kind of like, how are they going to top last season? First episode in, and it was like, damn.
I got to see the show.
Yeah.
But back to The Lion King, I am looking forward to Hans Zimmer revisiting his score. What he's going to do, anything new there, any good cues.
And this is a live action. This is not animated.
It's hard to say live action.
Computer-generated, made to look
I'm
live
very
action.
confused.
I think the background is live action.
Oh.
Like they did with Dinosaur.
Because I don't think they shoot a lot in like probably there are a couple locations where they use real background, but most of it is computer generated.
Yeah.
So it's not hand-drawn animation. It's computer generation made to look real.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm sure it'll be good. I just don't really see why they need to, other than they want to keep extending the rights to it.
Yeah.
Like, they keep doing, like, live action of all these other movies.
It's Disney. They're
sometimes
printing
it's
money.
good, sometimes they're very
Yeah,
bad.
I mean,
so.
I
a
wasn't
weird
a
trend
huge
to get
fan
into.
of Favreau's Jungle Book, so
I heard that was really good, though.
you know what I liked better was the Netflix movie Mowgli.
Oh, really?
Was 1,000 times better to me.
That was interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you've got a great cast. I mean, Donald Glover as Simba.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like, they got a great
Beyonce
cast,
is
there's no
Nala.
doubt about it. It's just, from what I've seen in the trailers, they don't show a lot of it, but, like, seeing photorealistic lions talking just doesn't have the same energy as seeing, like, the animation drawn lions where, like, they get to
exactly.
emote.
It's going to be
do
weird.
things.
Yeah.
It's just like seeing a lion flap its mouth and saying vaguely Shakespearean lines.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't really know, like, how well it's going to come off. Like,
Right,
you lose
right.
so much of the energy and passion that went into the original movie.
Yeah, doing live action versions of something like, say, Aladdin or
There's no
Beauty and the Beast.
It's not creative.
It's like
just regurgitation.
It's like, at least it's humans and it doesn't look weird.
Right.
When it's like lions, like, "Man, what's going on, man?" Like,
it's weird,
like,
right?
Yeah.
It
Like,
works
this
in
is,
animation, yeah, definitely.
It's similar to like what we were just talking about before the show started. We were talking about how they did a remake of Psycho, Gus Van Sant did it,
right,
where
right.
it's shot for shot with
Yeah.
actors doing kind of the same performances.
A lot of people forget that.
and there's
movie.
no reason to like remake a movie, but then also add nothing new to it. Like, let's just do the exact movie again with different people.
And it's weird too.
And, like, why would you think that that would possibly be anything close to what the original
And
was?
it's weird. Danny Elfman, he basically adapted Bernard Herrmann's score, and he quotes as saying Herrmann is his influence. So, I don't know, it just seemed like a weird thing to do.
I think it was just done like as an experiment. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
like that
if
sounds
we-
like an
what
art
if-
thing. Like,
Yeah.
let me do the same movie
Right.
the exact same way, but I don't know why that would have ended.
It fell flat.
I'd rather see them use like lions like roaring and meowing and whatever they do with subtitles.
Well, I mean, the biggest criticism I remember when that came out was it's exactly the same movie, but with different actors who are not as good in the part. You know, because a classic's a classic.
You can't duplicate that. You can't remake Back to the Future. It just can't be done. Maybe if
But
you
they'll
get,
try.
Yeah, they'll get like Jane
It's like,
Lynch
if you're
as
gonna
the
do
doc.
like a remake or an adaptation, you got to add something new to it. Like, you
Right,
got to
right.
say like, why is this important to be made? Like, I hated the Psycho remake, but I loved the Hitchcock movie they did with
Disturbia.
Anthony Hopkins playing Hitchcock.
Yeah, that was great.
I
Like,
didn't
it was
like so
basically-
much.
No, I enjoyed it. Like, it's basically telling the story of when
Also
you're
scored
making
by Danny
Psycho,
Elfman.
but you get to add so many things to it. Like, they had the guy who did the screenwriting for it. Was like they adapted a book about Ed Gein and used that as a screenplay for Psycho.
Yeah.
So he's trying to find a screenwriter, and he's just giving interviews and talking to someone, and he's like, "So what do you do?" He's like, "Well, I happen to be in therapy right now," and he's like. And he plays Hitchcock very well. He's like, I always wonder, what do people even talk about in therapy? And he's like, oh, you know, the usual things, sex, rage, my mother. And you just see Anthony Hopkins leans back with the most, like, pleased face, like, perfect.
Well, I remember that was an interesting movie because it also focused on his wife. I forget who played his wife in that movie. It was a very good actress. But
Helen Mirren.
No, it was Helen Mirren.
It was
Helen
Mirren. Oh, okay.
But it also hit upon the fact that his wife had very strong influence on him, and he wouldn't have been Alfred Hitchcock without her. You know,
Interesting.
And she put up with a lot of crap.
Nice. Well, guys, we only have a few minutes left, and I just did really quickly want to do plugs. Anything going on, CJ?
No, just working on the same short, trying to get actors together. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, cool. It was the Wingman?
Yes, that's the comedy script we're still working on.
Good.
So we got like most of it done. We did most of the general acting. We just got to film a lot of the smaller scenes. So
Cool.
that'll take a bit of time.
All right, keep us updated on that. That's cool. Matt, what's going on?
As usual, Cult Cafe,
The
Cinema
cafe.
Arts Center in Huntington, every Saturday night at 10 p.m. This weekend we are doing the Joe Dante Roger Corman classic, Piranha, and following that up with Capricorn 1 to celebrate the anniversary of the moon landing.
Perfect.
And then Pulp Fiction, that wraps up this month. And then you can look forward to Ghostbusters in August.
Yes, sir. And I'll be there in attendance in full gear, mind you. Well, no proton pack. We'll see. That's an iffy issue. Jim, anything going on you want to plug?
Just enjoying life. And glad to be here.
Great.
Finally.
Cool. So we got some plugs from our wonderful sponsor, Magnitude Jewelry. July 20th to the 21st, we have an event in Austin, Texas. We'll have a few more details in the next week or so for that. And July 28th, the Awaken Fair at the Roger Smith Hotel, New York City. And just some more Ghostbuster things. August 10th, I think, might be the next
August
one for
10th.
me. That's so cool. Do you have any guests coming? Or
The Long Island Ghostbusters will be there in attendance.
Nice.
With their ecto, so.
Are they going to bring it into the?
Well, not into the cafe, but outside for photo
That's
ops
great.
and stuff. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I'll be there supporting my New York City Ghostbusters, my brethren.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, guys, this is the sad part where we say goodbye. But I want to thank all of you. This has been great. My Uncle Jim, your first time here.
First time here.
And
I hope
hopefully
it won't be the last.
Yeah. Anytime you want to come back and talk movies, you're more than
Sure.
welcome. Matt, CJ, you're always welcome.
Always a pleasure.
All three of you are welcome. So, guys, I want to thank you for watching at home and on your devices. We'll be back with more Unger the Radar. I'm your host, Randy Unger. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Under the Radar is all new next week with more movie reviews and interviews on Strong Island Radio and Television. Stay tuned. We'll see you next week.